Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to cut this kimono style. It's a kimono jacket and a trouser. Okay, it's a two-piece. So I added this white this thing on the neckline and on the sleeve just to give it a little bit of fancy, but you can neglect it if you don't want to. This is just optional. Okay, so guys, let's get started. So I've already folded this is for the kimono first. That's for the jacket, the kimono jacket. I folded my fabric into four. Okay, so I'm going to be cutting the front and the back piece together. So the first thing I do is to measure my full length. Okay, so this fabric is 60 inches by length, so I'm going to be using the whole 60 inches for the full length. So in order to get the length of your sleeve, or where you want the sleeve to stop at, you're going to take your shoulder measurement. So I took a shoulder measurement of 8 inches, that is 16 inches divided by 2. Then from that point that I'm at, I'm going to get the length of my sleeve. Okay, this is how you get the length you want. Okay, so I have a length of 11 inches there. Okay, I want my sleeve to be 13 inches, but I measured 11 inches for this because I'm going to be attaching the white stuff to it to make it up to 13 inches. Okay, so this is how to get how long you want the sleeve opening to be. Okay, so I'm just showing you guys how to know how long you want the sleeve opening to be. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to, remember I told you I folded it into four for the front and the back. Okay, this side is the side that is on fold, this side is open, and this side is on fold. Okay, so it's four on fold. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is from my starting point, which is my shoulder line, I'm going to mark 11 inches. Okay, you come down by 11 inches. Okay, then the next thing is to get my neck depth and my neck width. So I'm going to be cutting the back first, so I'm going to be doing a neck depth of 1.5 inches for the back and the neck width of 3 inches. Of course, the neck width for the front and the back is supposed to be the same, so it's 3 inches for the front width and back, but 1.5 inches for the depth of the back. Please note this. Then what I did here is to mark 1 inch on that area for my shoulder slant, and I connected it with the slant like this to that 1 inch. That is from my neck width that I marked. I connected it to my shoulder slant of 1 inch there. Okay, so the next I'm going to do is on this 11 inches that we marked, I came in by 1 inch. Okay, so I'm going to come in by 1 inch. This is because I'm going to be just covering it in like this, so it will be easier for me to join it, okay, on the sides like this. So I'm just going to connect it with the straight line all the way to my hem like I am doing. So the next thing I want to do is cut off the neck for my back. Told you I'm cutting the back first. Okay, then cut off my shoulder. So I'm going to open up the sleeve for the upper part. Remember, it is on fold. I'm just going to slash it open. Okay, to that point. Then I'm just going to cut off that slide curve that we made. Cut it, follow my line, my chalked line, and cut it all the way to my hem. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to open up this piece. Just raise the one on top up. Okay, then I'm going to bring out the one that is inside. So that would become my back piece. So you're going to bring it out like this gently so you don't scatter the front. So this is because I want to mark the neck line for my front. So I'm going to mark a V-shaped kind of neckline. Yeah. Okay, so just watch what I'm doing so you get it. So I'm just arranging this piece back to the actual way it's supposed to be, because I want to mark the neckline for my front. So I'm just going to measure the depth. So from that point, that is from my shoulder. Remember I told you I'll be using this white piece for the neckline. Okay, so from this point I'm going to mark 8 inches. Okay, I'll slant it like this and mark 8 inches. Okay, so I'm going to connect it to that point to create a V shape. Okay, so I'm going to cut that off. Then I'm going to slash open the midpoint. Remember it's unfold, so I'm going to slash it open to create 2 pieces, okay, for my front pattern. So I'm done opening the midpoint now, and here is what I'm going to have: 2 pieces for the front. Okay, so I'm going to use this white fabric that I told you to join on this point, okay, all the way down. That is after I must have joined my shoulders. I'm going to join it for my neckline and my sleeve. Okay, again, this is optional. You can just choose to fold that area, okay, or use your bias and just pipe it. Okay, so now to the trouser. I've already folded my fabric into 2. So the I folded it in order to get the right amount to fold. You're going to get your thigh circumference, okay, your lap. You're going to divide it by 2, and then you're going to add 2 inches seam allowance to it and fold. This is how I get the right amount to fold, so that you don't waste your fabric. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is to get my full length of trouser, and then I added 3 inches seam allowance to it. Okay, I like to add 3 inches seam allowance to my trouser because I like to fold my trousers bold foldings on my trouser. So however you like your foldings, it depends on how you like your folding. That's, you must not add 3 inches, you can do 2 inches and it's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to mark it on this side again, so I'm just going to connect it with a straight line. By the way, I have a tutorial on how I cut and made step by step how I cut and sewed a palazzo trouser with pockets. I'm going to put the link on my description box because I'm not going to be sewing this. I already have a video of where I sewed the trouser. So if you want to watch step by step video on how to couple up a trouser with the pockets and a zipper by the sides with the waistband, kindly watch the tutorial. Okay, this, I'm just showing you how to cut this trouser. I'm not going to show you how to sew it. Okay, so next thing I do is to get my hip from my waist, that is from my starting point. I got 9 inches for my hip. Then for my crotch, I'm going to do 12 inches. So you can measure your crotch, okay, or you can divide your hip by 4 and then add 2 inches to it. That is how I get the crotch if I don't have the exact measurement. Okay, so you can use this formula for to get your crotch. So the next thing is to mark my knee. Okay, from my starting point to that place is my knee, which is 20 inches. So the first line is my hip line, which is 9 inches from my waist. The second one is my crotch line, okay, which is 12 inches, and the third line there is my knee line. Then on my hem there, I marked 2 inches on my hem, and I came on my knee line, I marked 1.5 inches, okay. So I'm going to connect that point. That is the 1.5 on my knee line to the 2 inches on my hemline. I connected it like this. Okay, the next I'm going to do is to connect it to my hip line. Okay, this is in order to create your hip curve. That is what I'm doing. I connected it like this. And then I'm going to, I'm just trying to make my line visible. Then on my waistline, I'm going to mark 1 inch on that area. Remember, that area is a folded area that we are taking these measurements. So it's 1 inch on that area, and then I'm going to connect it back to my hip line to create my curve. Okay, just to create my hip curve. Okay, so here is the lines I have. So this will become the lines we'll start imputing our circumferences from. Okay, so I'm going to now put my waist circumference. So from that line, remember, from that line we measured, I'm going to get a quarter of my waist. That is my waist divided by 4. Okay, I'm going to impute it, and I'm going to add 2 inches to it. So a quarter of your waist measurement plus 2 inches. And remember, whatever measurement you're taking is starting from these lines that we measured. Okay, the chalked lines. Okay, not from the edge. Okay, because those ones you're going to cut it off. So a quarter of my waist plus 2 inches seam allowance, I marked it. Then for my hip, I'm going to do the same thing, divide my hip by 4 and add 2 inches seam allowance to it. Okay, and then I'm going to mark. Then the thigh circumference. So my thigh, okay, I'm going to divide my thigh circumference by 2. We are dividing by 2, of course, because it is just one. You measure the circumference of one of your thigh. Okay, so your thigh circumference divided by 2. I'm going to just add 1 inch seam allowance to it. Remember, we added 2 inches seam allowance for the waist and the hip, but I added 1 inch seam allowance for the thigh circumference. Then I'm going to connect it, connect the points that I marked like this. Okay, see how I connected them? Just going to look a bit curved like this. So then what I'm going to do now is to cut this off. Okay, so because it's a palazzo, I'm just going to maintain that straight line there. Okay, it's a wide legged pants or a palazzo pants, so I'm not going to measure anything on my ankle. I'm just going to maintain that straight line that I folded. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this off. Then I'll cut this area off. Okay, so I'm just going to follow the folded pattern, the folded area. Okay, and just cut it off like this. And then when I get to my crotch line, I'm going to curve in, just follow my chalked line and cut it off. Okay, so here is what I have after I'm done cutting. This is my front pattern, so I'm going to place this on a folded fabric to cut a bag. So it's going to serve as a guide to cut for the back of the trouser. Okay, so now I've gone ahead to fold the another pattern into two, and I placed the front I already cut on top of it. And as you can see, I placed it in a way that it had the same shape as the front, and I made space on top here for the back because I'm going to be increasing the back to accommodate your butt. And then on the crotch line, on the crotch area, I made space for the back as well because we are going to be increasing it. Okay, so on this end, that's on my waist, I'm going to increase the back by 1.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to increase it by 1.5 inch so that it will accommodate your butt, so that your trouser will not look like it's sagging at the back. Okay, so that it's going to just fit your bum well. Okay, but for a person with a bigger butt, you can even go as far as 2 inches. Okay, but I think 1.5 inches is fine. Also, what I did was just slant it to the hip side, that is that area. I just slant it like this. Okay, so I'm going to cut off the hem, the down part, like so, using the front as a guide. Then this side, I'm going to cut exactly the same thing. Okay, I'm using the front as a guide, remember. But when I get to the hip line, I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to mark 1 inch on the waist. Okay, for the back, using my front as a guide. Okay, and this is because I want to add a dart, so this is going to be a dart for my back. 1 inch, so I'm going to just connect it like this. Okay, so the 1 inch there is for the darts. I'm going to add that for the back. Okay, so that's done for that side. So on this area, we're not going to cut exactly the same thing. I'm going to measure half inch out. Okay, so half inch out, I'm going to just eyeball it, but you can measure and even use your chalk and rule a line. Okay, but I'm just eyeballing it, but know that I'm cutting half inch out, so the back is half inch bigger than the front. I don't know if you understand. Okay, so when I'm getting towards the crotch line, I'm going to measure 1.5 inch outwards. That is for my back. Okay, this is also to accommodate your bum bum. Okay, I'm doing 1.5 inch because I think it's just okay. This person's butt is not so big, but if your client or your butt is quite big, please do 2 inches. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to connect that half inch I was cutting to that 1.5 inch for the crotch line of the back, and then I'm going to also maintain that 1.5 inch and curve it like this. Just watch what I'm doing. Okay, I maintain that 1.5 inch, so I maintained it. We're just going to curve it like this and cut. So while you're cutting, you also, then when you get to your waist, you align it. Okay, just this is how it's just not so hard. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out that slant. Remember the 1.5 inch we measured up and slanted it to the waist. I'm going to cut it out. This is for the back. Then for the front, I'm going to come down by half an inch. Okay, so for the back, you go up by 1.5 inch. For the back, you go up by 1.5 inch, and for the front, you come down by half an inch and slant it also to the waist area. Okay, so I'm going to cut it out. Remember, for the back, 1.5 inch slanted up. For the front, half inch slanted down. Okay, this is to give it a shape in front so that the waistband just slaps very well or sits very well on your waist. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is to fold my back into two, fold it into two equal, and then I'm going to notch the midpoints. Here is where I'll be inserting my darts for the back. I'm not adding darts for the front. I don't add that's on for the front of a palazzo trouser. I only add that at the back. So I'm done with the cutting of the front and the back. Then the next thing I'm going to do is cut out my pockets, cut out the pockets area where I'm going to be attaching my pocket. So from on my waist is for the front pattern. On my waist I came down by 7 inches, okay, and then I went in on this side by 4 inches, okay, 4 inches. So I went in by 4 inches, came down by 7 inches, and then I'm going to connect it to that 7 inches point with a slide core, and then I'm going to cut it out. So guys, this is the end of this tutorial. I have a detailed tutorial on how to sew a palazzo trouser with pockets. I'm going to put the link in the description box so you watch it. So if you found this video helpful, kindly like and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching.